Yeah. Hi. So today we are group number 13. Myself, Siddhant Vyas. I have as my partners Prateet and Sai Krishna. We are going to talk about the ethical dilemma related to networking and security. So basically, in the initial slides, we have discussed basic ethical dilemmas that are common to both networking and security. Then we'll slowly transition into Prateet talking about how ethical dilemmas are related to networking and technology specifically, and then he'll also explain an example. And then we'll move on to Sai, who will explain how security faces ethical dilemmas. He'll also give an example and he'll also give a couple of ways of how we can mitigate the risks. So we'll start now. Yeah, so the one of the most basic ethical dilemmas is invasion of privacy. So, for example, a company may assign one of its employees the task to do uh, several activities, like maybe check and browse the emails of its employees and to make sure that all the employees are complying to the internet usage policies of the companies. Now, the employee might feel that it is unethical to do so, but if the employees have signed the company's contract, which does state that the company could view the internet activities, then all the employees need to be smarter and use their computers for their not use their computers for their private work. Also, once there was an analysis of more than 600 people done by the University of Vienna, and the results of the survey was most of the people found out there were data protection issues and social pressure amongst the employees. Next. So the next is free speech. Free speech is basically a political pathway where everyone has the right of opinion and expression. This idea is supported in a democratic ideology, but it is a dangerous weapon for a particular group of people who manipulate the right to release and insulting sentiment, which might be racial or religious hatred through the space of social media. So one such example is two bloggers, Alvin Tan and Vivian Lee, have been charged and imprisoned without bail in Malaysia because they posted a photo which was offensive to one of the communities. So this can be an example where free speech is a very dangerous weapon, which can be used to spread hatred through the internet. Next, sensitive information. So this is when an employee joins a new company. Now, an employee at its old company may have learned about new competitive knowledge, and to gain an advantage at his new company, he might use those proprietary technologies and business practices to kind of further his career in it. But he, at that point, he should take advice from his legal counsel and make sure that he's complying to the non-disclosure agreements that he may have signed with his old company. Next, data leakage. So this is one of the main dilemmas that a lot of the networking and security websites face. So many new technologies have been introduced, but this does remain a big issue. Data leakage at its most basic way can be traced to the users unawareness and carelessness on ethical privacy and policies mentioned by these websites. Frequent updates as well on these websites, timelines such as current interest and locations are shown publicly as users' activities can be manipulated as a valuable data source of information and data leakage. So, for example, in 2013, Facebook had disclosed that they had inadvertently exposed 6 million users' phone numbers and email addresses to unauthorized viewers over the past year, and they blamed it on a technical glitch. So this is very much possible in today's world, and it does remain a major issue contributing to ethical dilemmas. Now I'll ask my friend Prateek to take over. Next.
Yes. Well, my team member Siddhant has explained very well about the dilemmas that occur with privacy and data protection or data leakage. Now I will take you through the ethics involved in networking. I'm going to show you here a typical or practical scenario how an ethical dilemma occurs with computer networks. It includes both networking staff and networking technologies. And coming to the networking staff, what does a network staff do? Well, they are the backbone of the organization. We can't imagine a workplace without networking staff, as they are required from day one an employee joins. Like he should be given an access to run his computer. And they also handle the sensitive information, and they are responsible for creating a password policies, like what all characters it should contain and in how many days the password will get expired. These all are determined by the networking staff. And generally, in any organization, to protect the computer from malware, they use special permissions for downloading the software. And these network staff will have those special permissions to install the required software in the client workstations. And now coming to the design and maintenance of the networking system. The networking staff create a network in which it tells who to access and what they access. And they also determine on what level internet is enabled to the employees. And they also maintain network system by improving the performance and taking the backup of the database, backup of the data. And now coming to the networking technologies. Networking technologies are something that makes a network work. We have different types of networking technologies, beginning with the networking operating system. These are the software by which a network system works. They are classified into two types. One is the client OS or operating system, and the other one is server operating system. Client operating system will send a request to the server by which the server will respond and send the requested resource through the network. This software is available with many vendors, like for example, a Windows operating system and a Linux operating system. And now coming to the networking software, that which is basically helps the network staff to manage the network. The best example for this is an event viewer or a task manager in a Windows system. These tell us what are the applications or services that are running in the background. And the last one is the network hardware. These hardware are responsible for transferring the data from one computer to another computer, and they involve router switches and network interface cards to transfer those data. And until now, we have learned about what networking staff do and what networking technologies are. In this slide, we are going to see how these two combinedly will create an ethical dilemma. So let us consider an organization that was operating in many regions. And the organization, with the use of web applications, they have seen a tremendous increase in this business. And now they are forecasting the growth in the usage of applications and the increase in cost in maintaining the infrastructure in future. Now the organization reaches out to the network team to propose a solution to maintain the infrastructure for future costs. So here the problem is, for example, there are two network resources which come up with two solutions, and they are virtualization of servers, by which the many servers can fit into a same server, or hosting them in a cloud, hosting these servers in a cloud provider. And provided that this network specialist always choose proven methods. For suppose if, if the sorry, if, if the network staff comes with one of the network staff comes with a virtualization of servers and one with the cloud computing, this leads to a value difference between the network staff, and this usually occurs because of network staff and the availability of various technologies. And from here on, my friend will continue about the ethical dilemmas in security.
Krishna here. That was a really nice example from Prateek regarding ethical dilemma in networking. Here I come up with ethical dilemmas in security related aspects. Before I begin, I want to reiterate about the ethical dilemma. It refers to a conflict between two moral values. To better appreciate the concept in security-related aspects, I'm coming up with an example here. Consider a national government that is incredibly concerned about the cyber security of the whole country. In order to better safeguard their own cyberspace, it forms a team of cybersecurity experts who monitor the cyberspace 24/7. So they have unlimited access to all the incoming as well as the outgoing network connections within the country. So in a way, they have access to all the data that is being generated in the country. Next. So the ethical dilemmas involved here are the very first one is people's privacy versus national interest. Since these experts monitor all the incoming as well as outgoing connections, they have access to the sensitive information of the people as well. So here, people's privacy is at stake because someone is monitoring the communication lines 24/7. And the second dilemma is between the individual conscience versus professional duty. So from the perspective of cybersecurity experts, they face a conflict between their own conscience and their job role. As part of their job, they need to monitor both the incoming as well as the outgoing communications. But however, on a personal front, it might go against their individual moral values. And the last dilemma in this is giving the consent versus withholding the consent. From the people's perspective, they face a dilemma between whether to give consent to the government to monitor their data or actually withhold it. Here, the conflict occurs between the individual values and the national interest. Next. So there are always a myriad of factors involved in ethical dilemmas related to networking and security. So here are some of the measures that we can actually employ to take all the stakeholders involved into confidence during an ethical dilemma. And the first one is informed consent. Here, people's consent should be taken and they should be explicitly informed about the kind of information that the security team will have access to. And the second measure is there should be adequate checks and balances in the system. No single entity should have complete access to all the data. And the last measure that we can actually put forward is right to be forgotten. If people request, there should be a way to delete their entire private information stored in the government database. So with this, I conclude the presentation. Thank you so much on behalf of all my teammates.
Thank you.
Thank you.